Hey fellas, how you doing?
Hey, we saw your dad out there the other day. I'm just curious, just what that means to you. You know, I mean, you saw your dad coaching for all those years, and really was your entryway into the business, maybe through some peer pressure. But to flip the script and to see him out here and watching you, probably imitating him in a lot of ways. You know, what does that mean to you?
First, how'd you know that was my father?
I heard some things.
Uh,
It's my job. It's my job to know.
People joke and they say we look a lot alike. So um, when I first got into coaching, I didn't realize how many years of player-coach interaction that I observed at a very young age. He's a phenomenal teacher, and he's a great developer. And those attributes are ones that I hope people will see the same in me as a football coach. I enjoy him being around, and I'm even more thankful that Coach Campbell allows him to just view.
with, with Jeff, obviously he did some walkthrough stuff, didn't do the competitive periods, but we saw him back there kind of close to you. He had a call sheet in his hand, seemed very involved. Just how much do you appreciate that? Obviously a kid who's very, very hungry, wants to be out there, looks like he will be pretty soon, but just that aspect of his spring, how much did you appreciate that part of it?
I personally really appreciate it, but then I also appreciate it for his teammates. Anybody that's gone through what Mr. Akuta's gone through his first couple of years in the NFL, to see the way he's transitioning, still being endearing to his teammates, listening, being active. I really believe as a coach sometimes players can get lost in practice and not really learning from other people's mistakes. And Jeff knows specifically that time is of the essence for him, and he's trying to take full advantage of that. And I'm very appreciative and proud of him in his development and growth.
Is there a different approach to how you coach him this year? I mean, coming off that injury, I mean, last year, you guys, went through what y'all went through. Is there a different approach to how you coach him this year?
I would like to believe that I don't change very much as a coach as far as my expectations and my standards, but I do believe that every person's battle is a little bit different. And I am sensitive to his situation, and that's why, referring to the question asked before, I'm very pleased with where he is, both physically and then also mentally. Mental health is something that's huge for me, for my players, and he seems like he's in a very good place.
What are your expectations for this year? I mean, he's played so little, really, the first 2 years, but he's such a premium talent, too, and Achilles, who knows what it is. So what's like a fair expectation for him at this time?
Small victories. And right now we have them. With him being here, he's even here this week right now, being active during practice, day by day, small victories for him. And right now, he's on the winning side.
How does he do in those spots? We've talked to him a bunch. He seems like a smart guy, a thoughtful guy, but also some guys need to be out there and hands-on. So how does he do, watching, learning from standing next to you?
He's actually doing very well. I think because his intent. He's very much into every play, not only the personnel, for the offensive situation as far as what the sticks are. He's asking the right questions. He's also not afraid to be wrong. And I think sometimes humility is something that's not always easy for professional athletes, but anytime they show it, especially for learning or physically going out there and do it, it's up to my job as a coach to make sure that it's answered.
What fears do you have, if any, that he doesn't, because the Achilles is so tricky, that he doesn't get back to the player that we saw before, or it takes him longer than the first 6 weeks when he comes back, or whatever it is? And I don't know. Can you sort of?
Yeah, it's a good question. My biggest fear is us getting past the fact of small victories is everything. And again, his career in college, and then being able to have a really huge breakout year, and then his first 2 or 3 years in the league, just kind of watching how this thing is unfolded. It's really small victories, day by day, being here on time, making sure you need to be, making sure you're tapped in. And I'm telling you, Jeff is all the way locked in right now.
And small victories eventually become
large goals. But in order to obtain your goals, you have to have waypoints and deadlines to get there. And if you get too caught up on the goal, you lose the essence of the process.
What kind of goals do you have for Amani this year after the sort of breakout year last year?
Better than 21. Let's just roll over. Let's continue to keep going. I'm really pleased of his progression that I've seen since I've been here. I want him to continue to keep getting that ball back. The only small thing that we've talked about is being a more efficient tackler in the open field. I think he's been more aggressive, and I like that side of him. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing Amani grow as a professional and that's just more on the student side. He's been a phenomenal student, but as a corner in this league, you can never not learn enough.
A little more on Amani. First half of the season, he kind of got the playful nickname Lucky Charms, but we just always seen the balls coming to him. But those late season receptions, I mean, he was making the play. I mean, he was
Correct.
going up and getting it. And I think we've seen some continuation of that here in these practices. Like, he's in the right position and making plays on the ball. Was there a moment maybe where you saw the switch kind of click for him within the scheme and his confidence within it?
Probably mid-season, you saw a little bit of freedom from him. There's a difference between putting yourself in a good position to make the play and actually taking the ball away from the offense. And that's the one thing that as the year progressed, he got better at. And I think it's also talked about being a student, understanding what the offense is giving you, putting yourself in a good body position where you are on the field position, and all those things have really advanced with Amani, and you can see it. So now it's just how can we put you in better positions to do what you do well, which is taking the ball away.
What does Deshaun bring to that safety?
Confidence, calm, continuity, and anytime you bring in a free agent that comes from a winning organization, continuing to show us how we continue to move this thing in the right direction to bring ourselves to a winning organization.
I know it's early, there's no pads or anything, but just what kind of a pair, him and Trace, they seem to have a good skill set together and play off each other. Do you like what you've seen with those two guys when Deshaun is healthy?
Yeah, so far I've liked what I've been able to see, not only in the communication, but also with the physical attributes that I see with those two playing together.
When G talked to us about Amani, he said the next step for him is shut down corner. Do you see that mentality with him, wanting to be someone to just take away an opponent's best player, best wide receiver? Do you see a shutdown corner?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But in order for that to happen, he has to continue to grow and understand what a shutdown corner means. What do you look for as a defensive coordinator in order to put that tag on a guy? And those are all the things of this offseason that we've collectively come together to say, what could you do to be able to take that next step? And I think he's accepting the challenge.
What are your early impressions on Joseph and Lucas, the two draft choices?
Can you say that one more time, sir?
Joseph and Lucas, your early impressions on your two draft choices?
I like to say that I feel that we evaluated the talent correctly. You see Lucas, great short space quickness, great agility, has some position flexibility, and he's very vocal. He's a leader out there. Kirby Joseph, a phenomenal athlete, positive knack to be around the football, and a beautiful energies for his teammates. And those two players, I don't think are going to be a better addition for us this year as our rookies.
Looks like there's going to be a ton of competition at safety and cornerback. Do you like where that room is, the depth that you've got there, and maybe just speak specifically to the nickel spot too? Do you like how the competition's maybe rising there, better than Mike and AJ?
I do. Simply put, competition brings the best of us all. And as long as we understand in this profession that you're continually trying to be replaced as a player as well as a coach, I think we'll all bring the best out of us all.
Just as a see a cornerback now, I mean, it's always something out there at. You look pretty comfortable last year when he was playing. How do you sort of view him?
I view him as a defensive back. I think the skill set that you all saw last year throughout our season is part of the reason why he's able to move around and plug and play at different spots. His growth has happened with being really fundamental at corner while still understanding the savvy part of the game that comes from safety. And I think that's what he does best, and we just have to continue to find ways and roles as a staff to put him in the best position to have success.
We've joked about Lucas being maybe the oldest or second oldest defensive back as a rookie, but all that experience, all those snaps he accumulated in college, is that helping him at the ground? It seems like he's getting his hands on a pass to practice at least.
Yes. On-the-job experience, especially at a nickel position, only helps you. The higher you go, the more your weaknesses are magnified, and the more you know the game at nickel, the easier it is for you in the transition.
You mentioned you call him nickel. I know you said earlier, you see positional flexibility, but do you like him a little bit better on that inside spot to start?
That's where we see home. We'll have to practice a little bit more to see where that secondary position could be. But right now, as his home spot at nickel, he's done a good job this offseason.
You talked about the next steps for Amani. What are the next steps for Tracy? Is it something just maybe a little bit more ball production, or what are those goals that you guys set out for Tracy to kind of accelerate?
Capitalizing on the opportunities that come available, that present themselves. Last year, Tracy had some great pass breakups that should have been pick sixes or interceptions, and really it's taking that next step, counting those small victories, realizing what you've done, but how do you separate yourself? And when he watches those on film, he sees there's an opportunity for him to improve.
You guys growth in games like this? So the growth from year 1 to year 2, how much better do you think these guys can be because they're young? And then big picture, what is there a reason why you prefer to go as young as you have in this area?
I don't know if that's a preference,
Okay.
but that's. I would say that I've never been afraid to develop.
Yeah.
I've never been afraid of a challenge. I like clay because then you can shape it and mold it the way you see fit. I know one thing that we've done better as a coaching staff is figure out exactly what we want to be and how we want to do it. And anytime there's more clarity as the coaches, there's always going to be more clarity for the players. And Coach AG and I and Coach Duker, we've really enjoyed shape-shifting, to say the least, our defense going into this next year. And you can see with the continuity of the guys playing together and communicating, as well as us with a little bit different aspect of how we're going to play in the secondary, I think they're doing a really good job. And I think you guys will like what you see.
One guy.
We have next about Jerry Jacobs, some of where's he at in terms of his rehab, return, mentally and physically?
He's in a very good place. Again, small victories. I'd like to say he's ahead of the curve right now. And he is another young man that's very, very, very much into it with his teammates, practice, lift. He's out there every day, and I couldn't ask for a better teammate than Jerry Jacobs.
Reasonable to expect him for week 1, or is it going to take? I mean, it's a late season, so.
I would not be able to tell you. I don't know. But I would say that he's looking like he's in a good space from afar.
Just wanted to ask one more guy a little bit further down the depth chart, Savion Smith. Been playing out here. He's physical. He's long. He's got now the full off season kind of in the system. What have you liked about what he can bring to this defense potentially?
I love his competitive nature. I love his football intelligence and his instincts. We've asked him to do a couple of different things since he's been here. He's accepted all those challenges, and I think he's done a really good job, specifically this last week, outside on the edge, figuring out ways to get his hands on the ball. That's something that he did last year, and we brought him in late, and hopefully he continues to keep going the right direction.
Thanks, Garrett.
Thank you. Thank you.